duṇḍōtāy சிசுவுக் காட்டும் நிகரற்ற நலனுக்கு நிகழ்த்துவாயே.
Namaskaram. Today I'm going to be talking about verse 5 of Arunachala Navamaṇimālai. As I said in the previous video in this series, verses 4, 5, 6 and 7 of Arunachala Navamaṇimālai are all prayers. Whereas in the previous verse, Bhagavan was pleading with Arunachala, but with a slight hint of rebuking Arunachala. Do not think to let me pine away for you like one who hasn't thought of you. It's not appropriate to leave me to perish as mud, as earth, by taking this filthy body which consists of earth to be I. There's a slight hint of rebuking Arunachala, but in this verse, the bhava is, there's a subtle change in bhava. This is more pleading. There's no hint of rebuking Arunachala here. It's just pure pleading with Arunachala and praying for forgiveness for all the great wrongs he has done, that the devotee has done. So this verse also consists of 4 sentences, but the first sentence is a very long one. It takes up more than half of the whole verse. I think, yes. Yeah. So the first sentence is sīrāṇa śōṇagiri śiṟakka vārum ciṭsorupa ṉāmiṟaiyē śiṛiyanein tan pērāṉa piṛaiyellām poṟuttuk kāttup piṉṉumivaṉ pāṛidaṉil vīṛā vaṇṇaṅ kārāṉa karuṇaiviṛi koḍuppā. So this is, as you can see, it's quite a long sentence. It begins with, he's addressing Arunachala. The address to Arunachala is sīrāṇa śōṇagiri śiṛakka vārum ciṭsorupa ṇāmiṟaiyē. That means, O Lord, who are ciṭsorupan. Swarupa means the nature, real nature. Sorupan in Tamil, it makes the word swarupa into a personal noun. So ciṭsorupan, ciṭsorupa is that which is of the nature of consciousness. Ciṭsorupam, it means one whose nature is consciousness, pure awareness. So, O Lord, who are one whose nature is pure awareness. Ciṭsorupan ṇāmiṟaiyē. O Lord, whose nature is one whose nature is pure awareness. Chit means pure awareness. Sīrāṇa śōṇagiri śiṛakka vārum. Śiṛakka vārum means shining gloriously, or living gloriously as the sublime śōṇagiri. Sīrāṇa means sublime. Śōṇagiri means Sona means red, Giri means hill, the red hill. Śōṇagiri is one of the names of Arunachala. Lord who is one whose nature is Chit, pure awareness, shining gloriously as this sublime śōṇagiri. So though Arunachala is pure awareness, ever shining in our heart as I, outwardly he appears in the form of this sublime śōṇagiri, and he shines gloriously in that form. He lives gloriously in that form. So that is the address to Arunachala. Then begins the prayer. The prayer begins with Śiṛiyanein tan pērāṉa piṛaiyellām poṟuttuk. Syrian means a small person, an insignificant, petty, unimportant person. One beauty in Tamil is that nouns can be personalized and may refer to a first person by adding ain on the end. For example, adiya means a devotee or a slave. Adiyain means myself, the devotee. So he's referring to himself as Syrian implies myself, this petty person. He's referring to himself as a petty person, but it's very specifically first person. That ain refers to the first person. So Syrian, myself, this petty person, tan pērāṉa piṛaiyellām, all the great wrongs of myself, this petty person. Poṟuttuk. Poṟuttuk means bearing with. It also implies forgiving all the great wrongs of myself, this petty person. Kāttup means protecting or saving, but protecting in what manner? That is said, piṉṉumivaṉ, pāṛidaṉil, vīṛā, vaṇṇaṅ. In such a way that this one, even he's referring to himself, this petty person, even pāṛidaṉil, that in this dissolution, vīṛā, in such a way that this petty person doesn't fall again in this ocean, in this dissolution. In such a way, so protecting me in such a way that this petty person doesn't again fall in dissolution. Dissolution is here referring to the dissolution of samsara, or worldly existence, the endless cycle of births and deaths. And then finally, the final prayer, the main prayer is kārāṉa karuṇaiviṛi koḍuppā. Kārāṉa means which is a cloud. Karuṇai means grace or compassion. Viṛi means, it can mean eye, in this case it means look. Koḍuppā, give me the eye or the look of your grace, which is a cloud. What he means by which is a cloud, again, Bhagavan often packs a lot of ideas in just very simple words. So when he says grace is a cloud, what does he imply by saying grace is a cloud? He means that it is always showering abundantly like a rain-filled cloud. That is the implication. But the words rain-filled are not there, and always showering abundantly are not there. But they're implied. As soon as he says that grace is a cloud, the image it brings to one's mind is of a dark, rain-filled cloud that is always showering abundantly. So he is that ever-showering cloud of grace. So look upon me with your eyes of grace. Is the implication. So the literal meaning of the whole sentence is, Lord, who are one whose nature is pure awareness, shining gloriously as the sublime śōṇagiri, bearing with all the great wrongs of myself, this petty person, and protecting in such a way that this one does not fall again in dissolution, may you give the look of grace, which is a cloud. That is the literal meaning. The implication is, Lord, who are ciṭsorupa, one whose nature is pure awareness, shining gloriously as the sublime śōṇagiri, the red hill Arunachala, bearing with or forgiving all the great wrongs of myself, this petty person, and protecting me in such a way that this one does not fall again in the dissolution of samsara or worldly existence. May you give me your look of grace, which is always showering abundantly like a rain-filled cloud. That is the implication. So this is a very, very beautiful prayer. And it's a very apt prayer for, as devotees, we all feel ourselves to be so wholly unworthy. we have our minds are full of so many petty desires, likes, dislikes, attachments, fears, and so on, all sprouting from the Vishaya vasanas with which our heart seems to be packed. So we feel ourselves to be so unworthy, and when we come to Bhagavan and he tells us that it gives us this simple path of turning within and surrendering ourselves completely, when we try to do it, we find ourselves, our mind is, having found this direct path to salvation, why our mind is still going outwards, chasing this desire, that desire, this like, this, all these likes, dislikes, desires, attachments, and so on. Why our mind is constantly going after Vishayas, external things, instead of turning within to merge within. So we feel ourselves to be so unworthy. We feel that having come to Bhagavan, still I'm thinking, still I'm nurturing so many petty desires and likes and dislikes in my heart. Still my mind is going outwards, seeking pleasure here and there in the trivial things of this world. So this is what Bhagavan refers to when he says, bearing with all the great wrongs of myself, this petty person, whose mind is still going out. That is, he doesn't say all that, but the implication, whose mind is still going out seeking pleasure in all these trivial worldly vishayas, the things, the objects and experiences of this world. So bearing with all that and protecting me in such a way that I don't again fall back into this dissolution of samsara, of constantly seeking pleasures in this and that and everything. So this is such an inexpressibly beautiful prayer, and such an apt prayer. I think if we are honest with ourselves, it's so clear that Bhagavan composed this verse just for us, that he's describing in this verse our present condition so perfectly, and so much is implied here, and as I say, it describes our state so beautifully. So that's the first sentence, that's more than half of the verse. Then in the next sentence he says, ṇērāṇa kaḍumbhavatti ṇiṇḍṟukarai māṭṭē. ṇērāṇa means if not. That implies if you do not, if you don't forgive all my great wrongs and protect me so I don't again fall into this samsara, and if you don't do so, and if you don't turn your look of grace upon me, if you do not, kaḍumbhavatti ṇiṇḍṛukarai I will not be able to rise up on the shore from the cruel from cruel birth. Bhavam means birth, bhavatti ṇiṇḍṛu means from birth, kadam means cruel, and the term he uses for rising up on the shore, karayera māṭṭē means I will not be able. Māṭṭē means I will not be able. Karayera means to rise up on the shore. Karayera is as I said, it literally means to rise up on the shore, and in a spiritual context, it is used idiomatically as a metaphor, meaning to be saved from the ocean of samsara, the age-old ocean of births and deaths. Now we are drowning in this ocean of samsara. The only salvation is to reach the shore and to rise up, to rise up on the shore, to get out of this ocean onto the shore. That is the metaphor for the analogy that is used for salvation, escaping from samsara. So karayera māṭṭē means I will not rise up on the shore, meaning I will not escape from samsara. And he describes the samsara as kadam bhavam. Bhavam means birth. It implies birth and death, the whole of samsara, but he refers just to the birth. The birth is the beginning, and the death is the end, but no death is actually the end, because every death leads to another birth, and every birth leads to death, and then to another birth, and it's endless. This is samsara, an endless cycle of birth and death. So long as we take ourselves to be the body, there's no end to this, to birth and death. That each life is a dream, but it begins with a birth and it ends with a death, and this is samsara. And between this birth and death, we run around seeking pleasures here and there and everything. And the body grows old, and eventually it drops off, and then again, because our desires are not yet satisfied, because we haven't yet vanquished all the vishaya vasanas in our heart, we again rise and dream another life. And it goes on endlessly until we put an end to the root of it all. What is the root of it all? The root of it all is our rising as ego. So that is why Bhagavan's path is all about annihilation of ego. That is, Bhagavan diagnosed what is the disease from which we are all suffering. What is the root cause of the disease from which we are all suffering? It is only our rising as ego. So to put an end to this, ego, to put an end to all this suffering, we need to root out this ego. And how to root out this ego? Only by turning within. But to turn within requires great love. And it requires, so long as we have strong vishaya vasanas, we're not yet willing to turn within. We're not yet willing to. Turning within means, when we turn within, ego subsides, and we thereby surrender ourselves wholly to Him. We are not yet willing to give ourselves wholly to Him. So that's why he says in the first sentence, bearing with, forgiving all the great wrongs of this petty person, of myself, this petty person, who's still going after all these trivial pleasures of this world, and thereby ignoring the infinite ocean of happiness that is ever shining in our heart as eyes. So these are such beautiful prayers. And then the next sentence, he says, ṉērāṇa uṇḍo tai śiśuvuk ātrum ṇiṇḍṛaṇ nalanuku. That is a question. What he asks is there that which is comparable to the unequal good that a mother does for a child? That implies that a mother does for her child. When he says uṇḍo means ṉērāṇa literally means that which is comparable. It implies anything that is comparable. Uṇḍo, is there anything that is comparable? Tai śiśuvuk ātrum ṇiṇḍṛaṇ nalanuku. To the unequaled ṇiṇḍṛaṇ means that which is without equal. The good that the mother does for the child, the love and affection that the mother showers on her child is unequal. So if anything equal to that, is anything comparable to that? So the implication is, you are my mother and I am your child, so take care of me accordingly. That's the implication. He doesn't say that, but after pleading with Arunachala, when he says, is there anything equal to the love that the mother shows to her child? Is there anything that can be compared to that? The implication is that Arunachala is our mother. So like a mother, he must take care of us as a mother takes care of a child. The child doesn't know what it's doing. It may put its hand in a fire. It's the mother's job to stop the child doing anything that will harm it. So he has to stop us harming ourselves by when we allow our mind to go outwards, we are courting so much trouble in this world. So just like a mother will protect the child and prevent it doing anything that will harm itself, he has to prevent us allowing our mind to go out towards this world. That is the implication. So like a mother, he has to care for us. And then he ends with just one word, ṉēṇಢṛaṇ. That means, may you say. In other words, tell me, is there it's connected to the previous sentence. Tell me, is there anything equal to is there anything comparable to the love that a mother shows for her child, to the good that a mother shows for her child? So you are my mother. You must take care of me just like a mother takes care of her child. I am a helpless, worthless, disobedient, foolish child. But you are my mother. You must take care of me as a mother takes care of her child. So it's such a heart-melting prayer, and so apt for any serious spiritual aspirant will relate to this verse so wholly. Arunachala is, what is Arunachala? Arunachala is ciṭsorupam. He is the very form of awareness. He's that pure awareness that is ever shining in our heart as I. But neglecting him, we're allowing our mind to go outwards. That is all the great pērāṉa piṛaiyellām, all the great wrongs. It's all amounts to allowing our attention to go away from that ciṭsorupa, which is ever shining in our heart as I, out towards this world. So Arunachala has to bear with us, bear with all our vishaya vasanas and our weakness in that is due to our weakness we allow ourselves to be swayed by these vishaya vasanas. So he has to bear with all that. He has to forgive all our wrongs, and he has to protect us in such a way that we don't again fall into this samsara, as we are doing every time we try to turn our attention within. We turn it within for a few moments, and then again we go outwards and thereby fall into samsara again. So there's so much meaning is implied in these verses, but not only the meaning, the bhava, the longing, that is, it's so beautifully expressed here. And as a devotee, we all feel ourselves to be unworthy. We've come to Bhagavan, we've learned about his path, we recognize what a simple, direct and perfect path this is that Bhagavan has given us. And it's so easy. What can be easier than turning our attention within? But still we don't do it. Why do we keep on failing to turn within and to surrender ourselves completely? This is our great fault. This is our pērāṉa. Pērāṉa means very great piṛaiyellām, our great fault of turning, all our great faults of every time we allow our mind to go outward. That is a great fault, allowing the mind to go outward. So, and when we allow the mind to go outward, then we do so many other wrongs. I mean, that the root wrong is allowing our attention to move away from ourselves. As soon as our attention moves away from ourselves, we do one wrong after another. So he has to, like a mother protects the child, he has to protect us from harming ourselves by allowing our attention to go outwards, by allowing our attention to forsake the ciṭsorupa, which is ever shining in our heart as I, which is his true form, and going out after all the petty pleasures and of this world. So that is the prayer here. It's such a heart-melting prayer. Om Namo Bhagavate Śrī Aruṇācala Ramanaaya.